Hello, ladies and gents. I'm the Beanie 101, and I'm back with another Shootout Sunday where I talk through each of the NHL teams' ongoing trials and tribulations and what's on the horizon for them. And today we're going to be talking about the third team on our list, and that's the Buffalo Sabres. So while I just get rid of this pause, so where did Buffalo end up? They were ranked last in the NHL this season, and at the trade deadline and around the trade deadline, they pretty much gave up a lot of their assets, which had value in exchange for draft picks and other players. So Buffalo said goodbye to Ryan Miller, Matt Moulson, Thomas Vanek, and they got a fairly decent return in terms of prospects, draft picks, and some established players like Chris Stewart and Nerverth. They did flip some goaltenders as well. So they've got a very, very youthful team. So where do Buffalo then need to project to? I suppose the first question in my eyes is what's happening in their top two lines? Where are they going to get their offense from? And I currently think that Buffalo are very much missing a number one first line center. They have a couple of decent centers in Cody Hodgson and Tyler Ennis, who both had relatively productive years on a poor team, but they're probably both number two centers at this point in their career, and do they project much higher? You're going to have to see a lot more as they develop. Behind them, you've got players like Mikhail Grigorenko or Gergensen, who could potentially fill a top line, second line centre role as well. And I think a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans are really, really pleased, especially with Gergensen and what he brings to the game. He's got good tenacity. He's got a lot of the personality traits that you ask for in your prototypical hockey player. He plays the game fast. He plays the game strong. He has a certain amount of zip about his character, so I can understand why Buffalo fans really like him. But that centre problem and how to fill out the remainder of their top two lines is something that Buffalo have to seriously think about. Chris Stewart and Drew Stafford are probably a couple of players that would be looked to be moved on, maybe around the draft or the trade deadline next year if they consider that they want to. I don't want to say tank because in theory teams don't tank, but if they're looking for next year's draft and the Connor McDavid sweepstake, then they might want to get rid of players like Stewart and Stafford for some extra pieces. Now on the back end, Buffalo are probably looking fairly good. I quite like Nerverth, although he is a little bit injury prone. And they've got a couple of decent D-men in Tyler Myers, who's an absolutely huge D-man, and Erhoff, who could stay. He could be a trade piece as well. But what they have in their prospect pool is a selection of really, really big D-men. You've got Rasmus Ristolainen, you've got Nikita Zadorov. They're going to have some size on the back end, which is great. So the question then becomes, what do they do in this year's draft? Now, the draft lottery was just the other day, and Florida got the number one pick, so Buffalo are picking second. And if you look at the top prospects that are out there, you'd probably say that your top couple of picks are going to be anyone from Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, or Aaron Ekblad. I'm guessing those are the three players that most people would think would go in the top few picks. And who are Florida going to pick? Well, I think we saw with Seth Jones last year that D-men, teams are worried about picking D-men number one, much like they're very wary about picking goaltenders as the number one overall pick. So you'd like to think that Florida will probably pick one of Reinhart or Bennett. So picking number two, do Buffalo pick the one that's left of Reinhart or Bennett, or do they go with Aaron Ekblad, who, again, is another big D-man? Or do they consider trading down with their pick? It's an interesting conundrum, and it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. Personally, I think they'll keep their pick, and they'll pick whoever's left out of Bennett and Reinhardt. They do have the option of using the New York Islanders pick. Well, the New York Islanders have an option to give up their pick this year or next year. And this year it's going to be the fifth overall pick, so that came over in the Thomas Vanek trade, and so If Buffalo do get that fifth pick, then it gives them a lot more scope to draft a strong player. But that's what I think about the Buffalo Sabres. If you've got any comments, if you agree or disagree with my comments, then please let me know in the comments down below. And thank you ever so much for watching. Please hit subscribe if you want to see some more Shootout Sundays and hear me rabble on about some more NHL teams. And I'll see you again next time.